PlayStation has just announced a brand new PlayStation 5, or what we would dub it, the PlayStation 5 Slim. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers. We're so close. We need 20 subscribers more. So definitely every subscriber does help out. So let's go ahead and talk about that new PlayStation 5, or what I'm gonna call it for the rest of the video, the PlayStation 5 Slim. The PlayStation 5 Slim shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. If you remember, the original PlayStation also had a revision, and ever since then, every PlayStation had some type of revision. PlayStation 1 had, well, actually the original one was just called the PlayStation, and the PlayStation 1 came out later on, which was the smaller white version that you could also attach a screen to, which was actually pretty cool. I remember seeing that in GameStops and like EB Games and all that stuff, and I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Then the PlayStation 2 also had something similar where you had the normal PS2, and then there was a slim version, which the downside to that slim version was you weren't able to connect an external drive like you were with the regular PS2. The regular PS2 has some type of expansion bay where you can plug in a hard drive that allowed you to go ahead and play games like Final Fantasy 11, which you had to go ahead and download the expansion packs directly to that hard drive. And then of course PlayStation 3 had two slim remodels, and PlayStation 4 had the Pro as well as a slim model as well. So the PlayStation 5 having a slim version, not surprising at all, because the track record shows that that's what PlayStation does, and typically it's always around that halfway mark. We are 3 years into the PlayStation 5's life cycle, so yeah, that kind of makes sense. And we figured that every console lifespan's about anywhere between 7 to 8 years, and yes, this is technically the halfway mark of the console's lifespan. Now, as far as what has changed with the PlayStation 5 Slim, let's go ahead and talk about that. It is 30% less in volume, and it's also lighter, which I guess people cared about the weight. It is pretty heavy. The original PS5 was definitely pretty heavy, but other than that, I think the best part about it was that it is a lot lighter, a lot smaller, which is nice because the original PS5 is pretty big. I have it sitting right over here, and you can see it's pretty giant. Like, I have no extra space at all, and I'm sitting it vertical. If it was horizontal, then yeah, I would be done. I don't even think it would fit horizontal over there. But anyways, it is smaller volume, which is nice. The other thing is, if you do purchase the digital version, it does allow you to go ahead and connect a disk drive to it, which is pretty cool. That was rumored for a while. We've talked about it on the podcast plenty of times, and that was the one major thing that I personally kind of hate myself for doing, is buying the digital version. This allows those customers that go ahead and purchase the digital version and later on wish they had a physical version, to rather than having to buy a brand new PS5, which I've been thinking about for a while, they just have to go ahead and buy the disk drive. Now the disk drive does have an upcharge of $80, so buying that will cost you an extra $80, but the plus side is you don't have to spend another $500 to buy a new PS5 because you regret your decision. The other minor change is, rather than having a front-facing USB-A port, they changed that to a USB-C port. So now you have two USB-C ports in the front rather than a USB-A and a USB-C port. Some people kind of don't like that because there are still a lot of accessories that do utilize the USB-A port. For me personally, I don't have anything extra that goes there, and if I do need a USB-A, I usually use the back one anyways. But I guess that is a major change. But with USB-C becoming like the main thing for quite some time now, since I want to say since 2016, then I mean, it shouldn't be a big deal. Honestly, the faster that all these manufacturers move to USB-C, the better, in my opinion. Outside of that, it's just a PS5. All the internals seem to be exactly the same, except for one thing, and that is the storage. If you remember correctly, the original PS5 came with 825 gigabytes of storage. Now they have finally upped it to 1 terabyte, which is nice because now you get an extra 175 gigs of data to go ahead and download other games, which is, yeah, that could help out a lot because these games are getting huge. Games like, I mean, I don't even want to imagine what Final Fantasy Rebirth is going to be. Is that going to be like 200 gigs, 300 gigs? Who knows? That game's going to be huge because it's on 2 Blu-ray discs already. But a lot of games are already over that 100 gigabyte storage space, which is kind of crazy because PlayStation was kind of prompting in the new Kraken technology they're using to compress video games, and it was supposed to make games a little bit smaller. Yeah, I'm not seeing that at all. In the beginning, I did see some of that, where if you bought the PS5 version of a game, you did notice that the storage size was a little bit smaller, but all the rest of the games seem to be a lot bigger overall. But yeah, outside of those things, it's really just a PS5 in a smaller body, which I guess is to be expected. Now, there are some major flaws with this, and the biggest thing in my opinion is the price point. The price to entry starts you off at $450 for the digital version, which is a $50 increase from the original PS5. Now, some people might argue, well, now you get a terabyte versus 825 gigabytes. Yeah, no, that's not a good argument. Actually, memory has gotten a lot cheaper in the past 3 years. If you remember, trying to buy an expansion NVMe for the PS5 was a lot more expensive back then compared to today. Today, you can find 1 terabyte for less than $100 for an expansion card there. So yeah, I mean, I don't buy that argument altogether. And not only that, they're still reusing the same parts. That's going to basically make the cost of the PS5 a lot cheaper. So yeah, I personally don't think that the extra $50 increase is I don't know how can I put it. It is a great business decision. I'll put it that way. It is a great business decision, but still, I don't think it needed to be $50 more. Yes, they're going to be making more money. Not only that, it makes the digital version kind of useless. The whole plus side was if you want to go ahead and increase, or rather get a physical disc later on, that was the coolest thing. But now it's like, just buy the disc drive version. It's $50 more. You won't have to pay that extra $30 that you would have to pay if you got the digital version. So it's like, why? That's not the only thing. You have to spend an extra $30 to go ahead and buy the vertical stand. I keep mine's vertical because I think that's the best way to keep my consoles. But man, like, to have to pay an extra $30 when the original PS5 came with a stand that worked both horizontal and vertical, I think that's kind of dumb. That's just telling you, hey, we just want to make extra money, an extra $30, because that stand probably costs like $1 to make altogether, and that's just pure profit margin. So in my opinion, I don't know. I can't say the digital one is a good deal at all. Now, if you're looking to get the disc version for $500, then yeah, by all means, you're still getting a terabyte of storage. So I do think it's worth it. If you're going to do it horizontal, I mean, it's going to be $530 if you want the vertical stand, which again is dumb. Hopefully manufacturers on Amazon, some third-party ones, come out with some super cheap options, because I just think it's dumb altogether. Or hopefully, at least, maybe you don't need the stand. Maybe it can just stand up on its own. I don't think so because of the design, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, I'm still kind of tempted to get it because I do want a disc version PS5. I just missed out on that big GameStop sale of all these games being like $5 and $10, and it just gets me angry because I got the digital version and I have to wait for their versions of a sale, and their versions of a sale is usually never as good as physical sales. And if you don't believe me, just really look at it, because when games are about to go out of print, you usually get steep discounts. You may save like 75%, 80% before they go out of print, versus digital. I mean, there's no such thing as going out of print. They're just there in the storefront forever. So yeah, they don't go that cheap really. So yeah, that's the PlayStation 5 Slim. I mean, honestly, PlayStation's been pretty busy this whole holiday season. They do have a lot of things coming out. You have the PlayStation 5 Slim, the PlayStation Portal. Sometime later on, we will get their new headphones and their new earbuds. And of course, there's new controllers they announced. Not to mention the PlayStation 5 Spider-Man 2 edition and the controller. I mean, there's a lot of things that they have going on hardware-wise, which is, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I guess if you're a huge PlayStation fan, you might be happy. If you haven't bought a PS5 yet, this might push you to buy a PS5. For me personally, somebody who has bought a PS5 and had it since launch, I mean, I don't know. It's nothing major to me, in my opinion. Like, nothing is calling out at me except for really the PlayStation Portal. But I'll have my video and my thoughts on that when that comes out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to also follow on Twitch. I do try to stream at least twice a week. We do a group stream and a solo stream. And of course, every Sunday I have the podcast. My name is James, and I'll see you guys next time.